point, knowing that so many big names and historic names in the past have gone through there. That's pretty special.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right, they aren't really updated or fancy by any means. They kind of look like they're still back in probably the 80s kind of thing, but it's kind of nice. It gives you that nostalgia, and I think we all take a lot of comfort there.
Well, we're looking at the back of the SpaceX, one of the SpaceX Teslas that will be going out to the pad, and apparently now we have the custom license plate. It's bye.
And so there'll be different license plates, different messages on all three of the cars. So we'll have to see what the other ones are. But I believe there's always a nod to the Crews as well.
Yeah.
That was something I just found out for this launch. So I would expect to see a 7 somewhere.
And maybe
How
that's
many
on
E's
one
were
of the
there?
other cars.
Yeah, maybe there's.
Oh, you know.
I don't think there were 7, but maybe there's a combined. I don't know.
You might be onto something there.
We'll have to see.
We'll have to take another look at that license plate.
Yeah, remember for Crew-2, the 3 cars were reduce, reuse, and recycle. So I really like that message.
Yeah, that's good.
Positive
Yeah.
messaging. I think I saw Pam Melroy out there. She, of course, is the Associate Administrator for NASA, so the Deputy Administrator for NASA. So great to see her.
And a former space shuttle astronaut.
Yes, very accomplished space flyer.
You mentioned crew quarters. It's a facility that is 26,000 square feet. So it's a big space.
Yeah, we've got a full kitchen in there. They make us some delicious meals. You know, that's one of the things that happens with the crew on the lead up. I think we talked a little bit about their schedule the day of. You know, they have various meetings and a weather meeting and that kind of thing. But that day before, they also have what we call the ultimate meal. So you get to make a request of whatever it is that you want to eat for that meal the day before you launch. And I'm actually not sure. We should have found out what it was that they each requested. So each astronaut can actually request a different meal as well.
Yes, and I have a little thing about their food. What we do know is that Andy and Satoshi are bringing food from their home countries along with them, which is nice. Jasmine says she's bringing some Persian food that she's going to share with the crew once she gets up there. And yeah.
Yeah, like we talked about, those meal times are incredibly meaningful for us. So it's a great opportunity for everybody to come together. Like you just said, each of those countries, I'm sure there'll be a little bit of ethnic flair to each of those meals. We also share food with the Roscosmos cosmonauts. They have a different food supply as well, so we can kind of trade back and forth when you get a little bit tired or something. But we get that question all the time about the food in space, and I think people think that it's pretty terrible. But I can tell you it's actually really delicious.
Speaking of which, Jessica, we have a question about food.
All right.
So let's pop that up. That came in on social. Perfect timing. At Tina says, will the crew have dinner during their cruise to the space station?
Yeah, so the number of meals or snacks that they eat kind of depends on the duration of their phasing to get to the space station. So they have various food items with them, and they have certain ones that are more accessible than others, so they can kind of reach in and grab whatever it is that they have. I'm not certain exactly what they did pack, but I think they can make some requests as well. They don't have a food warmer on the Dragon vehicle, so it's usually something that doesn't really need to be reheated that still tastes okay.
And our social participant who asked that question, she is actually here participating in a NASA social at Kennedy Space Center, which is an event we do for launches, invite various influencers and social media account holders to come out and participate in activities in and around the Space Center, as well as take in a launch. So she was right there, watching the coverage, presumably, I guess, on her phone when she asked that question.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to help share in the mission, help share the mission with everybody. And through social media, so many people are communicating that way today that it's great that we have all of these people that can help spread our NASA message and share in the excitement of this exploration.
Absolutely. So we're T-minus 3 hours and 26 minutes. You're watching NASA's coverage of the Crew-7 launch to the International Space Station. I had their patch on the other day. I think that's what it was.
Well, hey, Crew-6 is eagerly awaiting their arrival.
Indeed they are. And in about 7 days, we'll be coming back down to Earth. But today we're focused on Crew-7 getting up to the International Space Station. You're looking outside of astronaut crew quarters here at the Kennedy Space Center, where we are awaiting the walkout of the astronauts on their way to the International Space Station. Here are the doors to crew quarters that Jessica mentioned earlier, and you see the patches around the doors and up there around the meatball. They're scheduled to walk out at exactly 3 hours and 20 minutes. So we've got about 5 minutes until they walk out of there.
All right, 5 more minutes.
You were talking about, of course, a lot has been made about the multi-international crew here, which is impressive. This is the first time in a Crew Dragon has had one person from a separate country. But I did some research, got a hold of the historian at Johnson Space Center, and she was telling me that if you go back to the space shuttle program, there was actually a space shuttle launch that was more diverse for nationalities, and it was STS-84. And the reason is that flight included C. Michael Foale, a British American, Elena Kondakova, a Russian, Jean-Francois Clairvoy, French, and the remainder of the crew were Americans. However, Carlos Noriega was born in Peru. So you've got 5 nationalities on STS-84.
Yeah, you know, that is a central element toward everything that we do. Of course, it is called the International Space Station, but it is something that is so important to all of us. You know, this great example of what can happen when people from different backgrounds, from different places, all work together.
And here they come, the astronauts walking down the hallway at astronaut crew quarters. 3 astronauts, 1 cosmonaut of Crew-7 waving as they go by into the elevator, headed down to the first floor. Behind them, Joe Acaba, I believe that's Norm Knight with the Flight Operations Directorate.
It is.
Core on countdown. Crew walkout and suit-up room departure is in progress on schedule.
It's impossible to not smile when you're watching them walk out with those smiles on their faces, isn't it? It's contagious. You know, we talk about that international element, and another fun fact for you. Did you know that Jasmine, was actually stateless until the 2nd grade? She
Really?
became a U.S. citizen in the 2nd grade, and until then, she was considered stateless. But she celebrated that big moment by bringing brownies into her classroom.
Oh, she went back, right, to many of the schools that she had gone to when she was a kid and visited with those kids, and is taking up some mementos from that. I believe some class pictures from those kids. So I like that tie-in of how she is, you know, both a nod to her childhood and her background.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that many of us try to do, to really make that connection to all the people that you've known all along the way and have helped you get there.
You mentioned the traditions, Jessica. Let's take a look at one of them. Here's the crew signing that mission patch inside crew quarters at the Neil Armstrong Operations and Checkout Building there, putting it on the wall, and Jasmine putting her John Hancock on there, and each crew member signing away.
Lots of autographs and signatures to be had when you're going to space and when you come back, something that we all get used to. It takes some getting used to, though, in the beginning. I mean, it's not, I mean, I certainly was not used to people asking me for my autograph before. Getting closer to walkout.
Now just about 90 seconds away from them walking out of astronaut crew quarters. The Teslas are queued up. The security escort is ready.
Now, were they black Teslas last time? I know
They
for
were-
Crew 2 they were white.
Right, they were black for Crew 6, and then they were white for Demo 2 through Crew 5.
Okay.
They changed up the color. SpaceX said, just adding some vehicles to their fleet.
With your escorts, you've got the music going.